Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Before we begin today, a big thank you to Paul for the virtual gift voucher. Huge thank you my friend for the support, and a very Merry Christmas to you and your family too. But on to today. Today we are discussing the question, should Perturabo, Primarch of the Iron Warriors, achieve his long established ascension to Daemonhood? Or should he remain the true Lord of Iron? General spoiler warning to begin, as we will be discussing events from across the Horus Heresy and beyond, so you have been warned. But before we begin, I am very pleased to say today we have a channel sponsor, so let's do that before jumping straight in. Have you ever dreamed of fitting an amazing, truly AAA quality game right in your pocket? Something you can dive into and play anytime? Now you can with Raid Shadow Legends. You can play Raid on mobile and desktop, so you can play anytime, anywhere. It's down to you to beat 10 tough dungeons and take on the bosses. Complete an awesome story campaign. And build champions from every faction. Collect hundreds of powerful champions. Join a clan and play with friends. Fight against millions of players across the world. Endless content and infinite ways to play. One of the best things I love is not only do you level up your team as you continue on your adventure, but you can use the rewards you earn to summon new heroes for your team, so you actually expand your roster whilst adventuring. And this month, Raid's got their biggest ever update out. The main event is already here, the Doom Tower. It's a giant tower with 120 floors, a bunch of secret challenge rooms, and 12 seriously badass bosses to take on. And to help everyone get started in the tower, the Raid team are giving away a super special champion, the Bulwark. He's absolutely awesome in Clan Boss, and he's also going to be a huge help in the tower against those bosses. I've been waiting for this a long time, and I just can't wait to dive in. On top of that, they're also releasing 14 awesome new champions just in time for the holidays, along with a whole host of holiday events. If you want to get a huge head start in Raid, all you have to do is hit the link in the description, and your free Void champion, an XP booster, 50 gems, some energy refills, and even an ancient shard as soon as you get in game. And just look at this cool champion you'll get for free. You will find your extra rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only. So what are you waiting for? And I'll see you in Raid Shadow Legends. And with that said, let's jump straight in. Okay, so as we know, the long established lore is that after the Horus Heresy, during the days of the Scouring, Perturabo and the retreating Iron Warriors would lay a trap for the Imperial Fists upon the world known as Sebastus IV, creating what is known as the Eternal Fortress. Now, the exact events of this are still to play out when we progress into the Scouring series, and it's believed to take place after Guilliman's Codex Astartes comes into effect. But what we can say for certain is in Rogel Dawn's rage and desire for vengeance, he will lead his men straight into the net Perturabo has laid for him, in what becomes known as the Iron Cage incident. And this essentially is a massacre. Perturabo and his Iron Warriors will humiliate Rogel Dawn, with such huge losses that they will be unable to take the field for 19 years, and it will leave Rogel Dawn a broken man. Now, I'll be honest here, I do think we could see this retconned to being before the Codex, and it being a Legion versus Legion battle, because I really think this would make more sense if this becomes the ultimate reason Dawn decides to accept Guilliman's Codex Astartes, the breaking of the legions, because it's Guilliman and his Ultramarines who come to save his brother. But I digress. The result of this beatdown is a ton of Imperial Fist gene seed apparently being sacrificed to the Dark Gods, and this ultimately elevates Perturabo to Daemonhood. Now, I've always been a little conflicted as to whether Perturabo should have become a Daemon Primarch, because the more we learnt of his character, the less it seems to make sense, at least in some respect. Now, for those of you who were subbed back during Iron Warriors week, you may remember our deep dive into the character of Perturabo. It is still quite possibly one of my favourite week specials to date, because it really helped me learn just what makes the Lord of Iron tick, giving me such a greater understanding of the man beneath the Primarch. From the vulnerable child inside, seeking nothing but a place of belonging beside his father, to the moment Perturabo realised he had gone too far, down the wrong path, in a moment that broke both him and his legion, as he wept amid the ruins of a devastated Olympia. Perturabo was always iron within and iron without. It's how he was made to be. The iconic moment he kneels before his father, as the Emperor of Mankind proclaims, "You shall be my Lord of Iron." It's not simply for his indomitable resilience upon the battlefield, it's because his iron nature too, if not more so. His cold, calculating logic. Numbers and science have always been his vice, not the sorcery of the warp. It's through this discipline with cold, hard iron that he stood down the demon Angron and smacked him straight in the mouth. Perturabo's genius understands the manipulating manners of the warp, the slaves and weaknesses it has made of his brothers. I really struggle to see him accepting elevation to Daemonhood. However, as it stands, Perturabo is elevated due to the sacrifice of gene seed, which screams of a very unlike Perturabo behaviour. It just doesn't feel right to me that Perturabo would perform such an act, unless we see a radical change in behaviour towards the end of the Siege of Terror and on into the Scouring. But could perhaps we see, if not a retcon, but an evolution of the story? That yes, the sacrifice of the gene seed still takes place, but it's not by Perturabo's hand. It would certainly make sense to me that if Perturabo is to ascend, then it's thanks to the involvement of his brother Lorgar. Lorgar, who manipulated his brother Angron into the servitude of the Blood God, would undoubtedly perform the same to the Lord of Iron. And it would make a lot of sense considering Perturabo is aligned to no one god in particular, as is Lorgar, who worships the undivided pantheon. Another brother sacrificed to the ruinous powers. So which would I prefer? And which makes the most sense? Well, as always, these are two very different answers. Which would I prefer? Well, I'd love to see after all this time, when we finally get a Perturabo reveal, that he has not ascended. I think the encounter with Guilliman would be fascinating. The bitter, resentful Perturabo, still as he was, out of nothing more than stubbornness and spite. With deep down inside, that crying broken Primarch still locked away, just yearning for his belonging and his father's forgiveness. But would it make sense? Well, yes, actually, I think it would. There's been no concrete sightings or stories of the Lord of Iron in the lore since the days of the Scouring. And any reference to him as a Daemon Primarch is easily explained away as expected of a traitor Primarch. A Daemon Primarch, a traitor Primarch is all the same to the loyal followers of the Imperium. It would also go hand in hand with his loss to Mortarion in the War of Rust and Ruin, the Daemonhood and backing of Nurgle being the salvation of Mortarion and giving him the victory. And of course it would give fanboys like me a huge boost to the Perturabo redemption storylines, which, although yes, would never happen. However, does it make the most sense? No, it doesn't. The tragedy of the traitor Primarchs is how they all end up betrayed and enslaved to the ruinous powers, fighting against the father they called a tyrant, only to end up enslaved as monsters. Perturabo, as much as I'd like him not to, really does have to end up ascended to Daemonhood. It makes that fall all the more tragic and heartbreaking. From the Primarch who raced to meet his father, with tears of joy streaming from his eyes, to the one who sat amid the blood and the ruin of his homeworld, crying tears of sorrow. It's simply how Perturabo has to end up. Alone and enslaved to a fate of his own stubborn creation. But as always, guys, what do you think? Do you think Perturabo, as has always been the case, should end up a Daemon Primarch? That's the only inevitable ending to his story? Or perhaps do you believe that Perturabo shouldn't end up a Daemon Primarch? That his story can have another ending? That the nature of the Lord of Iron, iron within, iron without, means he should not end up a Daemon Primarch? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support really means a lot to me, it truly does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off and I'll see you all again real soon.